Everyone, hi. Bruce Muffson, LCS SUNRIDGE of Nevada, coming to you with another live stream. And as once again, we're excited to be doing it. And we want to talk about different topics. Tonight's topic is going to be about trauma and different types of trauma, because we've gotten enough feedback from you guys, the listeners and the commenters, that it's more than just the music videos that you enjoy. However, you want to get more information about mental health topics that are relevant to you. Okay, before we get and go into the topic itself and the theme tonight, I want to talk a little bit about myself. I noticed from the last live stream that not everyone seems to know me yet. It's growing. Thank you very much for all of that. A little bit about who I am, and what I bring to the table. When you see Bruce Muffson, LCSW, that stands for Licensed Clinical Social Worker. And I've been a social worker now, licensed, I should say, for about 23 years. Bulk of my time is spent here in Nevada, but I also did time in Missouri. And my point that I want to bring out to the table, the point I want to bring out to the table is my vast experience. I've worked inpatient, I've worked outpatient, I've worked in prisons. When I say consulting, I've worked with the courts, making assessments, making decisions, being subpoenaed hundreds of times, using my opinion. I've worked with people from as young as 3 to as old as 83. I've worked with sex offenders. I work with adolescents. I work with adults. I work with chronically and seriously mentally ill, those that are suffering from neurocognitive issues such as schizophrenia, bipolar, drug-induced psychosis, as well as those suffering, of course, from bipolar, physical, sexual abuse, and drug and alcohol problems. So there's really nothing I haven't really accomplished in terms of the variety of people that I've seen, and you're not really going to see that in most therapists. I've also done hundreds, if not thousands, of assessments in general, and realistically, probably thousands of home visits. I prefer to go to the house versus someone coming to the office, because I get a better sense of who the person is, what the situation is when I'm in the home. So I'm very comfortable. All populations, all ethnic groups. At this point in my life, it doesn't really matter. I'm more concerned what the problem is and how I can fix it. All right, we want to clarify something tonight. We still get comments where people get upset and angry, and sometimes I realize people are just joking, and sometimes I realize people are serious, where they say, why am I listening to a person who calls himself the rapist? Where this guy's a rapist. Why are we taking this guy seriously? Okay, for the record, you can look me up criminally in any state, any continent. I'm not a rapist. Not. Okay, we're down on rapists. The reality is, when we were doing this channel, my agent / producer / everything and I were trying to think what's the best way to clarify what I do for a living. We felt clinical social worker people would have no clue what that is, which we have found out to be true, and also saying the social worker sounded kind of sterile. So, and we didn't like counselors, so we thought therapist would be the answer. I never, in my wildest dreams, nor did he think people would take that as an inference for the rapist speaking on mental health topics. That's a weird combination. So for the record, I'm not a therapist. It reads therapist, not the rapist. Okay, so I want to make that clear. Everyone that's watching, if you're not sure, share this with your friends, because I must get like 15 of these over the years, and I have to explain each one of them to everybody else. Okay, I want to break now first a little bit about something you guys are not aware of, which is how do we even see people when they have insurance. So here we go. I want to clarify something. Okay, insurance is you have it. You have it on various levels. And we first have to explain to people even how to access it, because mental health insurance is different generally than having insurance for you break your arm or you need a flu shot. It's a different thing. So you usually have to look on your card to see what kind of mental health services that you do have. And trust me, I have worked with dozens, if not several hundred insurance companies over the years for various options of what they give and what they don't give to people. Now, then we see if we can even cover you. A lot of times people will say, well, you take my insurance, and the answer is no. That's one reason why we want to do this channel, was to reach everybody and not have people told, well, you don't qualify. So generally, we look at your insurance, see if we're going to take it. And if we do take it, we do an assessment on you. After we do the assessment, I have to come up with a treatment plan and a diagnosis that is then sent to the insurance company to justify seeing you for whatever reason that you might have. Maybe it's a problem with your marriage. Maybe your kid's flunking out of school and doing drugs. Maybe you're in your house all day. Maybe you had a prior history of being molested, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Generally, we're going to get a yes. They're going to say you've approved for so many sessions, for so many units. All right. And then usually that number is between 6 to 12 sessions, 8 to 12 sessions is what we're given. Then it gets interesting. Before that, it's pretty simplistic. But then we get the number, it gets interesting. Because you have to justify every 90 days in a lot of insurance plans if you want more sessions. And that you have to justify that the previous symptoms that you've analyzed initially are so severe and so life traumatic and so life changing that if the person doesn't get future benefits, future services, they will regress and do very badly. So not every person needs ongoing services, but some people do. Now, what you have is you have to go what's called the authorization. We have to send it in. We put a lot of time and effort into this, and then we hope we're going to get back what we asked for. Okay, now it's a form. You got to fill it out. You got to send it through the computer. It usually takes a couple of days to get an answer back. Now, if you get it, sometimes you get it. There's no questions asked. They say you deserve it. Fine, Bruce. Here are the extra sessions. Sometimes you don't. The longer you see somebody, the more likely they are to say after 9 months to a year and a half, hey, this is a long time to see somebody. You know what? We're going to start cutting back on sessions. And if they start doing it to a denial. Now, I've spoken to case managers usually on the first rung. And then if I don't like what they say you can speak to a doctor, what they call a peer-to-peer. And then I call up at a designated time and I speak to a doctor who doesn't work for the insurance company per se. They are a subcontractor who reviews cases. So they have no interest in the case per se. And they usually have very little knowledge of the case, but they'll say, get me up to speed with what you got here, Bruce. And then I do it, and they decide if you get it, or generally they'll cut it in half. Well, you asked for so much of this, I'll cut this in half. Well, you asked for this, I'm going to cut this in half. And the famous line in these letters they send to you is, patient can, upon further review, patient can be treated with less intensity. I could put that on my forehead now or on my gravestone. That's what I intend to do on my tombstone. Like when you, this way you'll know, where is my tombstone? Oh, he's the guy that put that comment down on his gravestone. Upon further review, patient can be treated with less intensity. I'm going to have that on my gravestone or on my next yarmulke. I'm going to put it on there. And then you deal with this. Now, we don't get a say if we disagree with the doctor. Like they'll say, well, if you don't like it, Bruce, you can always appeal. But it's like going into a fist fight with one hand tied behind your back. You're not going to win. Once the doctor makes up his mind, it's basically over. And then I have to call in to my boss and say, here's what I got. And it's like, hey, you did the best you could. But again, how many fights are you going to win with one hand tied behind your back? That, in a sense, is a crux of partly why we created this channel. Because we felt that there are people that need more, that don't need to be told no, don't need to be told you don't justify, or don't even get it. Oh, got our first comment of the night. Mr. Harris, really appreciate your work. Thank you. I recognize that name. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I appreciate all your comments. But it's very frustrating as a clinician that you want to do right by people when you're told the word no. And we wanted to do this. I'll tell you a story I had about this. It actually happened to me. I had someone I was working with, and person had been through a lot of trauma, a lot of sexual abuse, a lot of verbal, physical abuse. And she had made some progress, but hadn't made a whole lot. And we were asking for like 3 to 6 more months worth of services. I was told by the case manager, no. And I said, could you explain why? Their response to me was, well, she's done as good as she could, Bruce. We don't think she justifies any more services. I said to her, what if she had pediatric cancer and the tumor in her body had, gone down by 50%, but it was still not where it should be. She still had tumors in her, still had cancer in her. We feel more treatment is necessary. Well, the tumors have shrunk. They haven't shrunk all the way, but we feel that it's not worth putting any more effort into her. I said, if she had adolescent cancer or pediatric cancer, would you justify your decision that way? The person got very indignant. How dare you say that to me? How dare you make that remark? I want to speak to your supervisor. I said, Not a problem. I am the supervisor. Let me speak to your supervisor. And very nasty on the phone. We had like a little back and forth for a minute or two. But you see, you can't be a jerk on these things, because if you do, you get a reputation. You're hard to work with. You're a pain in the butt. And then you're doomed at that point. And they just slice and dice you. So I had to eat it. I could say one or two things. I couldn't say what I really felt on my mind. That's why, again, partly we created this channel. And here's why. The reality is that people that need it the most get it the least. And from enough comments that have come in, people that have come on board have real issues. And we want to work with you on those real issues. And sometimes you need time. Sometimes you need progression over time. You might need several years. This is why we're doing these live streams. Our focus is that those that need it, and this is why we created the channel for those that don't have access to excellent, here we go, bullet points, therapy, i.e. that's me, the therapist, not the rapist, just the therapist, all right? Somebody that's relatable. You're not going to find anybody more relatable than me. Someone that is current and on top of things. Right here, baby. Again, I put myself in a very small category. Relatable and on top of what's going on. Someone that will challenge you and push you to get better and be able to deal with life the best way that you can. That's me again. There is no one better at pushing people. I don't just want you to come to therapy and just veg and go week after week. What are you getting out of it, and how are you moving on? And this is why we're going to go forward with the goal of the monetization and the live streams, to give you what we know that you're not getting from your conventional therapy, your conventional insurance. You're not getting what you need to go forward. The downloads of music, they're always going to be there. But to truly go global, we have to go forward with what we're doing. And our goal is life-changing therapy at a reasonable price for everyone. That's it. Okay, here we go. Now I want to talk about tonight's topic. And if, again, I'm done with my talk. Any questions, fire them out. I'm ready to rock and roll. It's going to be about trauma. Again, you don't realize till you get into this field how many people have suffered from trauma, have never been able to deal with it or cope with it, and the shrapnel is still in your body, and it's affecting you from going forward. So the idea is to give you a primer of what trauma is and what it isn't, and then as the weeks go by, to go further into it and analyze it more to give you more of a perspective. So tonight, if you have any questions about trauma, about done to you, done to your family, done to your friend, and like you never really knew what to expect, what to say, fire out those questions. I'm here to answer them. Here we go. This is called, I got this from Help Guide, and it's called Emotional and Psychological Trauma. What is that? What is emotional and what is psychological trauma? Here we go. Is the result of extraordinary stressful events, things out of the ordinary that shatter your sense of security, okay? Making you feel helpless in a dangerous world. And it's how you perceive the event. A lot of times people will say to me, well, he didn't be that way. He didn't get to that way. He didn't get to that point. Why do I feel this way? Where my sister didn't feel this way. I feel like I'm a wuss, or I'm a nerd, or I'm not a full person. Wrong. It's how it affects you. Trauma is a very individualistic thing. Okay. What it can do, though, is it can leave you upset, struggling with upsetting memories, emotions, and anxiety that won't go away. It's recurring. It's over and over and over. It's like a bad scene in a movie. You go into the haunted house and the mummy jumps out and grabs you from behind and you shriek, ah. It doesn't go away, and it can be lifelong. So what happens is this. It can also leave you feeling numb. I don't feel anything. I'm numb to intimacy, to emotion, to anger. I just exist. Okay, disconnected. What's going on? I don't care. I used to love to play baseball. Nah. Used to love to go out to parties or go dancing. I'm just going to stay home and go to bed. Yeah, you breaking up with me? All right. You divorcing me? Oh, okay. Yeah. I know these clothes look horrible, but I don't really care. I haven't shaved in 4 days. I don't care. Or unable to trust other people. You can't have a true intimate relationship. You don't have real friends. You can't talk to anybody. Everything is like fear. Okay, that's what the trauma will do to you. Now, people often make the mistake that they think trauma often means it's referring to a threat to your life or safety, which generally it's going to be. It's going to be something pretty intense. But any situation that leaves you feeling isolated and overwhelmed can result in trauma, even if it doesn't involve physical harm. I'll give you an example. When I was a little kid in Brooklyn, I had left the synagogue with my father one Saturday morning, and my father met a guy who was a friend of his, and he's just talking. And I was talking to the son, who was my age, and we were friends. I noticed across the street, there was a guy running down the street being pursued by 3 or 4 guys. He ran into a sporting goods store. And my dad was talking to the other father, talkie. I see these guys outside the store waiting for this guy to come out of the store. Well, he came out of the store with a baseball bat, and they didn't have a baseball bat. And he surprised them and began to swing at them quite vigorously and slammed that bat into several of them, who then fell to the ground in a lot of pain with broken bones. My friend and I, maybe we were 10, were watching this. And my dad, oblivious that he always was to everything, and the other father, didn't notice it till they began to hear the people screaming with these guys on the floor moaning, and this guy taking the bat, swing. And then he dropped the bat and took off. I ran into that guy. I was 10, 8, 9, 10. I ran into that guy for like the next 20 years. And every time I saw him, that story came up, because that was a big deal through my eyes. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was like a movie, but it was real life. That was Brooklyn. And it just happened. And I still thought about that and said, even today, I still once in a while think about that. The guy walking out of that, he was running for his life. They would have beaten up really badly. I never knew what the story was, what it was about. But he came out of that store with a baseball bat, and he just crunched those guys, and they were not expecting that. That was trauma. Now, it didn't affect me, but it affected my coconut. All right. It's not the objective circumstances that determine whether an event is traumatic, but your subjective, your perspective, emotional experience of the event. And the more frightened and helpless you are, that you feel frightened, the more likely you are to be traumatized. It's understandable. I've heard this story a million times through therapy. People tell me like they went to a fair, country fair, state fair, roller coaster at one of the amusement parks. They're on a roller coaster ride. We're on a ride, and amazingly to these people, the ride goes up and they get stuck at the lip. Or they're on like those, like not the Ferris wheel, the Ferris wheel, and they get stuck on top for like an hour and a half. And it's scary. You become frightened, and they never can handle heights again, because it's just that recreation all over again of that traumatic incident of being like helpless. Thank God, not like dangling, holding on for dear life, but like you're looking down and you're at a bad angle and you're like, oh, if you go 10 more feet, I could fly out of here. The trauma is there. Okay. Now, again, got a question here. What is your opinion about how to help fix the mental health issues, stigmas in this country? Net Court, great question. Here's the answer. Be open about it. We're finally breaking the ice, slowly, but we're finally talking about these issues. People are finally realizing you don't have to be a tough guy or a cowboy, or you guys are too young for this, probably John Wayne, that you hold everything in. You're now allowed to say how you feel about things. Be more open, particularly men, if you want to go that term, men of color, so to speak, that were told, like, don't share, keep it inside, be a tough guy. Stupidity. Let people know how you feel. Be open about it. There's so much grief that's unlocked that until you finally open it up, then it comes pouring out like a tsunami. So finally, the thing is to be open and honest when you're not whole. I know we got this superhero complex for the military, law enforcement, corrections, fathers, men. You got to be tough. You don't have to be. I've been in enough sessions where people that looked like they were like beyond tough were crying like little girls, so to speak, when they finally felt in a safe enough zone to share how unmasculine they felt and how trauma-filled they were about their childhood and who they were. And, forget about size, 6'6", 250, irrelevant. You could be 5'4" and 130, still have the same issues, but letting stuff out. So that's the answer, is to break the stigma, it's a great word, in this country of being honest. Finally, let's be honest. We're hurting. We need help. Be open about it. Great question. Okay. Now, what can emotional and psychological traumas be caused by? One-time events, accident, injury, or a violent attack, especially if it was unprovoked or it happened in childhood. There's a lot I got to share about trauma, but childhood trauma is very, very severe for a number of valid reasons. And let me just explain this with my head. So I got this haircut for my hairline that I don't have anymore. When you're a kid, your brain is working from the bottom up. It's like it's laying the foundation. So like right here, you got the brain. This is like right here. As a kid, it's filling up from the bottom. And it's taking care of, very, very basic needs because you're a child. You got to learn how to eat, go to poop, how to get communication. As you get older, the brain begins to fill in with more complex emotions, how to love, how to be friendly, how to share. But as a child, you're laying the foundation for your basic building blocks of life, how to relate to people, how to get your needs met. What do you do if you're frightened? But they're childhood, you're young. So if something happens, that foundation to this first half right here, your brain as it goes up is now tainted. It's like putting, if you ever see red dye in a chest x-ray, they do that for a reason because things stand out. And that's the thing for childhood. If something happens before the age of 10, your brain has not developed yet. So it's going to take that trauma into it more seriously. As you get older, the brain starts to fill out with more complex behaviors. It has better regulation. All right. So if it's unexpected, let's say you're walking and a car hits you out of nowhere, boom, that is pretty scary versus you see it coming. Or you could be in combat, you're going into battle. Okay, that's one thing. But when you get ambushed, that's a different animal. So all of these things are factors in how the event occurs, how it unfolds, so to speak. Okay, ongoing relentless stress. All right, such as living in a crime-ridden neighborhood. Okay, again, I'm no genius, but when I first started counseling, getting a license and working with kids from inner city, I never got this thing that everybody could be what they call antisocial, oppositional defiant disorder. It didn't make sense. How could that be? Every kid is antisocial and oppositional. But why would you want to be that way? That didn't make sense to me either because you're going to be put in special ed, you're given a label, they pat you on the top of your head, you get medication, you go see a guy looking like me. It's uncomfortable. They ask you very stupid questions. And you're like, wow, I must really be different to be put in that situation. Or you put in resource room. Oh, that's not a good room either. Because that's where they put all the kids that are too violent, too aggressive to be anywhere else. They start isolating you. So your question is why? And then I would say to the kids, what is your day and night like? And then I start to hear, I sleep in a bathtub. Why? Because my mom said that's the best place not to get hit by a stray bullet because the tub is porcelain, so it could deflect the bullet. Or I sleep threed into a bed. Or I have to lock my room at night. Why is that? My stepdad has a tendency to come in and fondle me or expose himself to me. Or my mom's boyfriend does drugs and beats her, and she says, lock the door. If you hear me screaming, don't go near the door. It's okay. All these crazy things. Walking through neighborhoods that are gang-ridden, we're plagued by drugs, plagued by people who are sex offenders, take advantage of you. All negative things. That's stress. That stress eats at you, and that's going to give you trauma. All right, there's a thing called the ASAM, which I've talked about before, which is like a scale to see where people are. The higher that score is, the more you're likely to have a shortened lifestyle and all wonderful things like hypertension, diabetes, high blood pressure, because your body's attuned. You're pumping out that adrenaline. Your body's not getting the right regulation. You're going to have problems. Okay, life-threatening illness, that's another tough one. Or experience traumatic events such as bullying, DV, domestic violence, or childhood neglect. You notice again how it's tiered towards young people, youngsters. By the way, time to ask questions tonight. The board is open. So please ask any questions you want to. Now, there's also other causes that get people to be trauma-filled. If you're a child and you go through repeated operations, you have a small heart, you're a preemie, you didn't come out correctly, you got to do a lot of fixing of internal organs. That has an effect because, again, that brain is just now developing. It's going to be filled with trauma-filled memories. All right. The sudden death of someone close, like, you come home, a sibling is killed, a parent dies of domestic violence or gunfire, or a heart attack from high blood pressure. She's cooking in front of the stove, and you walk into the room and she collapses at 42 from a heart attack and blood pressure issues. Boom, that's terrifying to watch. The breakup of a significant relationship, or humiliating or deeply disappointing experience, especially if someone was deliberately cruel. A good example from our audience, which is generally 18 to 34, is I get this term a lot called ghosting, where people, will no longer text you or respond to your texts, or I guess more texting, not emails. And people like, she ghosted me, or my employee ghosted me. I'm devastated. My response is, for my level, I'm 57. I'm like, all right, they're not going to get back to me. Big deal. I also throw an occasional text, how you doing? But I moved on. But for young people, that has become very, very traumatic, since you guys live your lives online and everything is like out there. So why isn't she getting back to me? Why isn't she talking to me? My life sucks. My life is ruined. Oh, got a question. That Canadian guy. Greetings from Canada. You do great work, love. Thank you. Just out of curiosity, where are you from in Canada? Big country. So my point is, that's what happens. Like, for you, and you got to learn how to adapt. Different generations are going to have different perspectives. 100 years ago, it was letter writing. You're not responding to my letters. Then it was the phone call. Then it was the email. Now it's the texting. And 10, 15 years, we something completely different. It'd be like artificial intelligence hologram. But it's going to adapt. But people today who live their lives online, boom, it's devastating. And I've had people say to me from comments, I felt horrible. I was crushed. He, she, they no longer responded to me. Okay. Now, coping with the trauma that's natural or man-made is unique. It's a unique challenge on how to cope and do that. Oh, man said I'm in Alberta. Thank you. I have been to your country several times. I want to go back and really see the whole country. I think it's beautiful. And I think Canadians are a great people. So thank you. I'm not happy with the Rangers and Canadians over the years, but I'll let that slide. But great country, great people, and I'd love one day to go back and really explore it. Thank you for commenting. Much appreciation. Now, it's unlikely we get it. You see things like a terrorist attack, a plane crash. We're generally not going to be in those kind of situations. All right. But for instance, when you're bombarded, and I work with people that because they listen, everything is on the phone now. The phone. Oh, what? Let me scroll. Oh my God. And the news today is so hostile, so aggressive, that when you see images over and over and over again, people are like, Bruce, the world's coming to an end. I'm terrified. I'm frightened. I can't cope. Oh my God, the media said this, the media said that. Even though I'll say to people all the time, relax, calm down. It's okay. What's going on right now in the country the last 2 weeks since the killing of George Floyd, I get people like, calm down. We'll figure it out. We're resilient people. I got issues at work. People are like, oh my God, is this going to happen? I'm like, calm down. I've been through this before. I'm still around. You'll still be around. But you got to sometimes hold people's hand, because we get so influenced now that what we see on the media, whether that's on obviously the internet. Well, no one reads newspapers anymore, but the TV and on the internet and on cable TV, we get so sucked in that we just lose focus. That happens. That gives you what's called traumatic stress. Okay. Now, the point is, though, no matter what you're dealing with, there are ways to learn how to cope. Now, to say that, a traumatic issue that you had growing up is going to be negated and gone, I'm not going to promise that. That's probably never going to happen. That image is still going to be there. But what you learn how to do is cope with it. Give an example again. I've talked to a few people who, I never really knew any professional athletes on a name-to-name basis, but people that I knew who did know them, were reading about them, they say this eventually. You learn to live with the pain. Like if you play professional sports long enough, you get injured. And they say you learn to live with the pain. You wake up in the morning, your knees hurt, your shoulders hurt, your back hurts, your spine hurts. You learn to live with it. In a sense, you learn to cope with it. Same thing with trauma. You learn over time how to figure it out, hold it in perspective, and not let it eat you up. And it doesn't become the 800-pound gorilla. It might be the 200-pound gorilla. And you have a better sense of how to work with it and how to go forward. All right. And you can make those healing changes. Now, here we go. And the question board is open. So you got anything you want to ask now? Anyone that wants to get on board, plenty of time to talk to you. Not a problem. Childhood trauma and the risk of future trauma. One thing I've learned as I've gotten older is that my biggest focus, and one of the things you can call me, one of my nicknames, is the preventionist. I want you to try and learn how to prevent trauma from happening to begin with, because the quicker you learn how to do that as a child, or for those of you that are parents that have young children, the better your kids are going to be down the road. Trust me 100%. So when trauma happens to anyone, you're more likely to be traumatized by an environment if you're already under a heavy stress load, have recently suffered a series of losses, or have been traumatized before, especially if the trauma occurred in childhood. What's happening is because the brain couldn't really grow the way it's supposed to, so having anything happen to you as an adult makes the trauma that much more jarring. So something that would normally not affect you as an adult if you have a healthy childhood, if you don't have a healthy childhood, you're going to have a much more disjointed adulthood because you're not in control of yourself. There's things are never quite right. The synapses never flow the way they're supposed to. So here we go. And we got a question on there. How does trauma after boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, if it does at all? Here's the thing. You got to look at that relationship. When you have a sense of self, okay, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, any kind of relationship, you put it in perspective. Hey, he or she was not the person for me. That's it. Wasn't meant to be. If there was a click, you feel it. If there was a click and it didn't work out, then it didn't work out for whatever reason. But when you have enough self-esteem about, hey, I'm still a good guy, I'm still a good girl, I still bring something to the table, you cry, you weep, you talk to friends, maybe you spend the day in bed, maybe go with your buddies one night just to kind of figure out something, and you move on. You don't let that affect you in such a way. But if you have that confidence early in life, you're not shattered. It's not like, I'll never date again, I'll never have any more friends again. When you have confidence in yourself, you can walk into a room and be able to handle yourself. One of the things I like about my agent/producer, I've had this with him happen numerous times, is we've walked into situations that were clearly either strange to both of us, were if not downright hostile, or if not hostile, like peculiar, and we're walking in as interlopers into families that are dealing with some heavy, heavy trauma where things are not good. And here we are walking in and they're looking at us like, who are these dummies? Are they going to be effective at all? And in a very short amount of time, you got to get that reverse that they feel that they can talk to you. That's a skill. And one of the things I have a lot of admiration for him anyway. I'm giving him a compliment, screw him, blah, 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 whether he likes it or not. But I noticed that he could handle himself, that he knew how to talk to people and get a situation to calm down. He picked up on that with me as well. That can walk into a situation that was not right, and I could see it kind of going south, and we held it at bay, and we got it to work for us in a few minutes. That's a skill. So if I was walking into a situation with other people, I never got that feeling, but with him, I did. And I think he felt the same way about me, that he's not going to escalate, or things are going to go crazy, or we'll be fighting for our lives to get to the door. That's when you get that sense of like self-confidence. And I didn't get that as a kid. I don't know what his childhood was. I have an idea. He's told me certain things, but I have a feeling his childhood was better than my childhood in getting confidence. because now I have it. I didn't have it when I was younger. That goes back again to that trauma as a child. Okay, boom, and here we go. Okay, effect. Yeah, that's it. Effect. Totally true. When you get that you feel that confidence in yourself, D, and you get that understanding of yourself, like put it in perspective. Okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? And maybe that person has issues. Maybe that person's not right for you. But when you get that self-confidence, that self-esteem, you see, I want everyone to kind of realize how everything is related. It's so important as you get older to start picking up on these things. Your self-esteem, your self-confidence, that relates to trauma and how much trauma did you have growing up. When you have positive people in your life, you're able to brush over things. And I'm going to share a story that happened to me last night about that in a second. Okay, so I hope that answered that question for you. Cope TV, love you. You helped me cope. Thank you, no problem. 2K, do you think online lives are detrimental to the current generation? Speaking as a kid who's grown up with the internet, there's a lot of messed up stuff out there you have access to from a young age. 100%. Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. I'll give an example to everyone that's listening right now. When I was a kid, all right, the big thing was, this is ancient history, you used to get your pornography from magazines, okay? When I was a little kid, Playboy was the magazine to look at. Like, my friend's dad had it. I'm like, oh, big deal, big deal. And if I saw a Playboy at like 13, I was like, oh, thank you, God. You know what I'm saying? But that was it. Now I talk to kids who tell me when they get iPads in 5th grade, they get the secrets in like a second to how to unlock it. They look at endless amounts of pornography, 3, 4, 5 hours a day. Sometimes they were telling me. Well, I know this from having to investigate issues of sexual abuse by adolescents. And I'd say to them, where did you learn these terms? Where did you learn these comments to say to other people? I got it off the internet, Bruce. I mean, where else would I get it? And you get exposed to this stuff. It desensitizes the brain. It affects the brain. See, again, it goes back to that brain is not functionally ready to handle that kind of stuff. So you have a very warped sense of sexuality. So since today on the internet, you can get anything you want, whenever you want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People are being exposed to things that I never got exposed to. So thank God my brain, which had Playboy imprinted on it, was not, thank God, exposed to horrific sexual, gratification with sex with children, sex with animals, violent sex, rape, S&M, which kids today tell me they see all the time. Girls today also have been exposed to so much pornography from an early age that our sense of sexuality and sensuality has been irrevocably damaged. So yes, not a problem. What I say there is this, is if you can, 2K, and I know that sounds so simple, try and lessen your exposure if you can. The more you have interaction with people directly, the better off you're going to be. The internet is great. Of course, without this, we wouldn't be doing this right now. But put it in perspective and try and have everybody as many live experiences as you can versus, in a sense, artificial ones. And you think this is crazy now, wait till 10, 15 years from now, you have holograms you can rent monthly that will cater to every whim that you have. You think this is bad, give it another decade and a half. Okay. Cope had a question. I'm having trouble overcoming addiction. I tried therapy, nothing worked. Okay, here's the question I'm going to ask you. What is it that's drawing you to that? What's not in your life that's making you feel that's the answer? Because when you stop and look at yourself, why do I need something to be detrimental to me, then instead of something positive, what is that reason? Sit down, write out the reasons. Why? What makes you feel empty? You got to fill it with this. And that's the beginning of getting some clarity into your situation. Always ask yourself, why? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I have to do something that's self-destructive? Very simple answer. I grew up in a house where my father was always late. This thing goes off at 5:30. I leave my office about 4:45. I know traffic now, how to get to my producer's house. It takes me about 27 minutes. If I have a little bit more time, I can stop and get a drink at a 7-Eleven. If not, I'll get a drink of water when I get to his house. But if I do everything correctly, between 5:10 and 5:15, I walk in the door, I take off my shoes, I take some water, I brush off my fat head with the sweat, and I get ready. I've learned to be on time because in the past I was like, I'd be late. Then I started to realize that was my father's habits. I don't want to be like my father. Why was I doing that? I was emulating my father. Now I've learned to be on time much, much better. Can I improve at it? Yeah. By my far more better. Am I better than I was when I was a child? 100%, but I had to work on it. Okay. So see if that works and get back to us. But figure out what is the reason why you're doing something that's self-destructive versus something positive. And can you replace it using a thing called mindfulness, being aware of yourself? Why am I doing this? Think. Stop. Do some deep breathing. Why am I doing something that's self-destructive? And go from there. And let us know what happens. Another question. I've been unemployed for the past couple of years, mental health issues. I feel intimidated going back to work and facing the stress, scrutiny, and responsibility that comes with it. How can I move forward? Great question. Here's the answer. Fake it till you make it. Take it one step at a time. Get back to work. Get back to a routine. You don't know anybody, any explanation why you're back at work and why you had an absence. That's not your That's not your problem to share with them your problems. By the way, about people dealing with work, that's another topic that's definitely coming. Less is more. You focus on your work. You focus on being the best employee you can be. That's it. But get back to work. Getting back to work means you're getting up in the morning, you're showering, you're shaving, you're putting on clean clothes, you have to make a lunch, you're getting paid, you have a schedule, you're filling up your week. Then at night, if you need, you can go to a support group, a therapist, take medication, go to a gym and work out. But when you fill up your week, it changes your whole life. Go back to being productive and feeling productive. You owe people nothing. Just get back. And you don't have to share. Some people think like, I got to share my whole life story. Don't do that. Then you become part of the gossip train. Get off that train because it's a waste of time. Trust me. Focus on your work. Focus on how to be the best employee you can be, and you'll feel a lot better about yourself. Keep in touch with us. I want to know how you're doing with that. Lately, same question. Another question, same guy. Lately, I've made some real connections and friendships with people, met online through an app. Okay, met called Discord. It's giving me more stability than I've ever had. I never had friends. I talk with them every day till now. That's great. And that's the thing is like the internet, I'm not trying to rag on every bit of it. There are some excellent pieces of it. One of the best things is if you can find real friends online that can share your issues, do it. Who might say it doesn't work? Make friends. We even say with people now, it used to be with suicide, we used to say things like, oh, don't feel suicidal because if you kill yourself, if you're Jewish, and what will the rabbi think? And you can't get buried in a Jewish cemetery. Or you're a Christian, you're a bad Christian, you won't go to heaven, you'll go to hell. You want people to think of you as a lapsed Christian. We don't say that anymore. Now we say, how quickly can you get back into a friendship circle, being around people, not being isolated, not being alone. So if you can connect online and find normal people that are doing normal things, but check them out. Be careful. Do due diligence. Too many people get sucked into that stuff. And if you can find a good group, then do it. All the power to you. Okay. Another question from the same guy. Another guy, I say replacing the old habits with new ones that might have helped with smoking weed, exercising, hanging out with good friends could help 100%. 100%. When you're smoking weed, okay, yeah. Exercising, hanging out with friends with good vibes can help out. Who you hang out with, exercise is number one. We tell it to people all the time. Better than therapy, better than medications, exercise. It releases endorphins and it reduces your stress. Exercise is fantastic. The more you do, the better you are. With weed, I'll say this. Does it have benefits? Yeah, but be very careful what you're smoking. Speak to a doctor. Just be very, very careful what you're taking into your lungs. That's all I'm going to say about weed. And friends, good friends. Who you hang out with is going to change you. Everyone I work with close will say the same thing to me. Bruce, as I'm getting older, I'm doing the pyramid like you taught me. Less friends, but only the good ones that are going to push me and inspire me. I don't need to be around people that are negative Nancy's, make me feel stupid, embarrass me. I'm only hanging around people that are goal-directed and goal-sensitive. Those are the friends you hang out with. Okay, Coke TV, how are you? Any more videos on lyrics breakdowns? Yes. We just released one from Lord Olo. We got another one from King Cruel coming out next couple of days. I'm working on another one from a guy who sent us in some music. So the music videos will always be coming. So we're back into the flow. I do like about one a week now. So, and we kind of do now like 3 in a row. And then my agent will then, when he gets a chance, we'll just break them down editorially and put them out there. So they're going to keep on coming. We want to do the live streams. The live streams are going to continue, but we'll still be doing the music videos. That's never going to stop. Okay, Canadian guy. Okay, another question. Helps me identify social interactions that are toxic. They're easier for me to spot now that I have so many positive interaction with friendly folks met online. Absolutely. You know, when you're around genuine people that actually care about you, that are quote, quote, real friends, you have real interactions. I'm always telling people, you know, people that you do drugs with, they're really not your friends. Once the drugs end, they kind of disappear. Once you lack the money to pay for the drugs, they disappear. You know, watch how quickly friends leave you when you don't have the money to party, you don't have the energy to party. You're not fun anymore. You're not a drinker. You know, you're going to work now. You're spending money on rent. You want to buy a car. Like, what's wrong with you? You're not fun anymore. Yeah, you're becoming responsible. You're going to a group now to learn how to be more appropriate, you know, feel more confident. So, of course, they're going to drop you, because who wants to be around people that are successful when you're a failure? So, yes, being around good vibes, really, really important. Things that are toxic, I tell people this all the time. Trust your gut. I call it your spidey sense. Like Spider-Man, you know, he walks into a room, you know, boom, 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 and he recognizes immediately there's trouble. Or Wolverine, you ever seen, you know, Hugh Jackman does this. You know, he smells fear, he smells danger, and automatically those claws come out. It's the same thing with Spidey. You get Spidey sense that something is wrong, something is weird. Danger, danger, danger. Red light goes on, you jet. You get out. If it's bad, it's bad. Don't pretend otherwise. Don't try and think that you're going to fix it, because you're not. It's going to be over your head. Get out, get out, get out. That Jordan Peele, get out, get out, get out. There's a reason why he says that, the character, a million times, because he was in over his head in a situation he really couldn't control. You get the point. Okay. Any questions, throw them out there, because the line is open. So I'm going to keep on going. All right. Now, so here we go again. So for a child, all right, child, unstable or unsafe environment, unsafe environment, unstable. When I was a kid, I could tell by my dad's keys in the lock that he was coming into the house. I lived in an apartment, small apartment. It was a sense of dread. It wasn't a sense of happiness. Like, I didn't get a good vibe when my dad came home, because I never knew what kind of mood he was going to be in. When I come home, I try and always come home in a positive mood, in a good mood. Even if I come home in a jerky mood and I say something stupid, which I'm prone to do at times, I'll apologize immediately. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. If I came across that way, I'm sorry. I want the vibe to be positive. Even with my wife, she'll drive me crazy, say the same thing 5 times in a row. Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? I did it. Why is this? Why do you take this out? We already have food out. What are you doing? What time are you picking them up? I'm picking them up tonight. I mean, like, my God, like, married like 800 years, and she still say the same things to me. And I'm going, okay, stay calm, 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 stay calm. Okay, I don't do anything cuckoo. I still try and apologize. I've learned that much. I'll apologize, because my father never apologized. He'd come home, go crazy, go nuts because something happened bad to him. I don't want to do that to my family. I never have a day at work that is so bad, that is so horrific, that I got to come home and take it out on them. I might be tired, I might be fried, but I'm not going to, nothing is that bad that I have to like give them hell or make them feel uncomfortable. That's a lesson for everyone to learn, okay? So just kind of do that. Stay in with my wife, 800 times. Did you do? Okay, yes, I did. Did you do what I told you to do? Yes, I did. Did you get the check? Did you? Yes, I did. I did. English and in Hebrew. I did. I still sing. Did you get it? Okay. Okay. Calm down. Walk away. Walk far away. That kind of stuff. Okay. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Stay calm, Bruce. Preach, Bruce. Yes. Stay calm. See, I'm ready to get the stress levels already going up. Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening. Thank you for that. So yeah, my dad keys. We never knew what to expect from him. That's not a fun way to live. When you're living with unpredictability, that's not good. All right, another question. Okay, well, we know what tonight's happening. Again, like basically just a few people, but they're asking lots of questions. That's fine too. We'll take it anyway. Not a problem. I've learned that keeping my composure with friends when a relationship, this is from D, in a relationship always worked better for me in the long run. People notice it and appreciate it. Stay calm. People are looking to see if you're calm. When I played ball, I wanted to be around people that were focused on the game. If you got into what the referee did, or you let another play get under your skin, I'm like, we lost the game. Like now the refs in on the game, and that's a bit. You don't want to get the refs involved in the game. Then they start taking it personal. Or another guy gets under your skin and you start like throwing the ball away. We're taking bad shots because you want to prove that you can score on him at will. Stay calm. That's at work. That's in business. That's in pleasure. That's at friendships. No one wants to be around someone that's off the wall, that's always screaming, always yelling, always fighting, always looking for trouble. You got to be focused. The more composed you are, the more people come to you. They're like, this is a normal person. I can't stress that enough. So very, very good. Keep your composure. Don't get into cursing. Don't get into screaming. Avoid gossip. Avoid gossip. Avoid gossip. Keep it just professional. You'll see it's going to work out for you. Excellent point. Great question. Bruce, okay, got a question here from DK. What do you have to say about big trauma versus little trauma? Okay, here's the deal. And I said this before. Little trauma becomes big trauma. Okay, if you don't get something resolved early, it grows. It's like a cancer. It's like a boulder rolling downhill, or a wave. Like I say, a tsunami can start 1,000 miles offshore because of an earthquake. You get like an inch rise in water, and the momentum, the force from that hurricane just builds up. That underwater volcano, underwater earthquake, and it just starts. But it starts with like an inch of water rising, and then that power will literally carry it hundreds of miles before it hits the shore with this ferocious power. Little trauma leads to big trauma. Nip it in the bud. I'm huge on prevention. The more you stay focused on getting little things done, it's like anything else in life. When you have a house and you repair that house bit by bit versus it falling down over your head, you're better off. So yes, take care of the little trauma and you won't have the big trauma. And that's why I always say things. If things are happening, take care of it as early as you can. You'll be better off from doing so. Okay, again, the board is open. Throw out the questions. So you have a separation from a parent. So many kids that I have worked with will say things to me like, my parents broke up and it was hell. My parents hated each other and we became caught in the middle. It's like you got the kids in the middle and like the parents are warring it against each other. And who gets slaughtered the most? The kids. And they get so jingle-jangled emotionally, they're a wreck by the time they hit late teens, early 20s. Serious illness, again. Intrusive medical procedures. Yeah, kids are horrified by needles, by doctors. They'll see people in white coats with a mask. Now, of course, it's normal to see a mask, but just seeing a surgeon or a doctor with a mask over your face, it's terrifying. You really, really get scared and you carry that stuff with you. And of course, we're going to go into much greater depth and much greater detail down the road, the triple crown of Freaktown: sexual, physical, or verbal abuse. You get hit with that early, it will affect you the rest of your life. DV, domestic violence, and of course, neglect. Okay, here we go. I need my friend to stop drinking so much. This came from D. Okay, I believe she's depressed. I don't know how to help. Okay, these are great questions. Thank you for being so open tonight. I don't want to say too much about, just like try and keep people's anonymity. Talk to the person. Start the conversation. Hey, I noticed you're drinking a lot. Is everything okay? Is everything all right? Can I help you? Like, what's going on? You'd be shocked how many people want to say something. They don't know how to broach it with a person's in pain. They want someone to reach out, but you're afraid to do so. My answer is always, are you okay? Is everything all right? You don't seem to be the same. You don't have that same snap, crackle, pop in you. Is everything okay? So just go up to them. Are you okay? Start the conversation. Take the first shot. Don't wait. Be aggressive. In general, in life also, I've learned, I learned this too late in life, the more you strike first, the more you're aggressive first, the better your life will be. because you'll get more things accomplished. You're not so worried about failure or like looking stupid. You're just taking more. I like people who take chances, who are risk takers, who push the envelope. Well, if you guys don't know what envelopes are anymore. But I like people who just do things. So here's my answer. Do it. You don't know how to help? Ask. Reach out. Reach out. You gave it a shot. So I'm always going to stress that. Okay. And those are the big three, like sexual, physical, or verbal abuse. All right. Here's something I want to share. It happened to one of my kids last night. He is going off to college in a few weeks. Blah, blah, blah. Good kid. I don't have much to say negative about him. He's working at McDonald's for the summer to make a couple of bucks. He's leaving for college in like a month and a half. He said to me, I told my wife this first. He says, I'm quitting. I'm having a rough time at work. I don't like my coworkers. They're negative and nasty. The manager is not really on top of things. And I'm just quitting. And he quit. Gave us 2-week notice. And I was like, I was his age. I would have stuck it out. I would have been too intimidated to quit. I would have like, I need the money. I need the money. I need the money. I need the money. I need money. I grew up poor. So part-time job was for me like a lifeline. Not like I could just walk away from it. I needed the money because I bought my own clothes. I bought my own sneakers. You know, I needed that money because my mother was under so much stress. And he said to me, I got what I wanted. I bought some stuff that I like. He likes certain kind of apparel, athletic stuff, whatever. And he goes, I'm going to spend my time doing this. And then, you know, it'll be time for me to go to college. And he said to me, worst comes to worst, I could have gotten hired across the street at a different store because I go to this restaurant every day. They said, if you want a job here, we'll hire you. You know, we'll even pay you more money than you're making at Mickey D's. And he talked to the manager and he explained himself why he was late. And he did it. I didn't have that kind of confidence because I didn't have a father that was encouraging, that would have said to me, hey, what are you killing yourself for, son? Enjoy your life. I got you back. Because I've worked so hard for my kids, they don't know what the stress of having to have a paycheck to live. Those paychecks for them really, in a sense, to have fun and not be under stress. I'm under stress when I was a kid all the time. So going to camp, I worked as a waiter, busboy, waiter, counselor, like division head. I was lifeguard. I'm always working, always working. I think I've said before, my first job was the age of 12. I didn't work 40 hours a week, obviously, but I was walking home and I saw in Brooklyn, you had these massive apartment complexes. And I said to a guy who was struggling with these trash cans, hey, you need me help? He was an older guy. He said, yeah. And I worked for the guy, I think for like a year, putting out trash cans. And I was so thrilled to have some money in my pocket as a 12-year-old because it meant freedom. I didn't have to ask my mother for money because I knew how tight it was in our house. Money was tight. I just spent some money on my wife if she wanted to fix something in the house that cost several $1,000s. And my dad never would have entered his mind, nor would my mother have ever asked my father for that kind of exchange of money because she knew it was like asking for the moon to turn green. So my kid, my youngest son, has confidence on a level I never had at his age. And at the age of I remember he was saying at the age of 4, he walked over to another mother and said, your son is being mean. He's not being nice. I was stunned that he did that. Maybe he's a little bit older, let's say 5 or 6. I couldn't believe that he did that because I would never have done that as a kid. If my, someone was bothering me, I'd be like, I got to take it because my father never would have been there for me. So last night I picked him up and he said to me, pick me up at 9 o'clock. He ended up walking out at 9:30. I have a very busy life, a very busy schedule. Last night was always a paperwork night for me. All I said to him was, hey, man, next time let me know when you're realistically getting out. That's it. And I touched him on his knee and we drove home. And I said, I love you. I'm not angry. It's a life lesson. Just respect my time. My dad would have gone psycho, would have been screaming at me, would have hit me, would have cursed at me, would have made me feel like a loser because I would have wanted to work extra to make extra money. My kid got stuck because I needed him to counter register, but he would have made the experience so unpleasant that I would have felt like this tall. That's the difference. That's why my son is confident. He will have a much better life than I ever had because what I gave him that I didn't get from my father. Okay. I believe I had the same. Okay. D, another question here. Another issue, delay that more often. How are you? Good. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes you have parents that are not talkers, that are not giving you what you need. Then here's what I got to say to you: get what you can and move on. Find someone else to talk to. It may not be a parent. It may be a coach. It may be an older friend. It may be. I have people that call me who, like, chronologically would be my children's age, but they said, I don't get this from my own father, so I call you. Okay, you know what? You need advice. I'm going to give you something that's going to be helpful. If you're not going to get what you can, like, listen, okay, I'm not that different than you, because here's what happened to me. I didn't get anything from my father. I had to change everything. I had to say, like, I had to look elsewhere and say, where can I find it from people that got more on the ball than I do, than my dad does, because I wasn't getting it from my father. So I learned about life, about money, about women, about relationships, about careers, not from my dad, because he was 0 for 0, was from other people, from reading. So get what you can. Always keep the lines of communication open. He is your parent. Get what you can, and what you can't get, move on and look for other mentors that can give you what you need. Okay. Even something short and brief would go a long way. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Tell me about your day. Are you okay? How's everything? Push the issue this way. You want to take a walk together. You want to go get a drink together. Drink, when I say drink, like a vitamin water, or a water. You want to go to a movie together. You want to go out for dinner together. Try and do. He may not be aware of what he can do. He may not have gotten it from his father. So see if you can bridge the gap by doing something that can bring the two of you together. Maybe you guys like baseball. Maybe you guys like going to the movies when movies reopen and baseball games reopen. You want to take a walk. You want to go on a hike. Just do something to have a shared experience in lieu of the talking, and see if that brings you together. Good luck. Let us know what happens. Hey, man, thank you so much. Chaka Jack, I'm going to blow your name, so I'm not going to embarrass myself by saying it. But I want to thank you. Information is gold, and I appreciate your time and knowledge. Can you break down how a man can help their women develop self-confidence? Thank you.
That's beat.
Oh, that's beat. Hey, man, thank you. Much appreciation. How can women develop self-confidence? Okay, he had a question about that. Here's what I would tell anybody. Expose your daughter to things and encourage her. Be there for her. Women, I'm going to say women, they need the push from a man, whether it's a child or a spouse or a girlfriend. Get what you need and what they need and push them. Let them fail and be there to push them up and say, if you fail, you're not failing, you're just moving forward in a different direction. That's it. Encourage them to try and let them know if they have to bounce, they can bounce off you. You got them. Don't worry about it. Push them. I hate when people say things to me, like I got these comments so many times, like, particularly if I work with women of color, they'll say, like, Bruce, you're the first person to tell me I could do this, where I should go here, where I should go there. I said, it's disappointing to hear that, quite frankly, because who told you couldn't do those things? Who told you couldn't invest in the stock market or go to Spain to see a museum I'd like you to go check out one day? I think it'd be really an eye-opener for you. Oh, my God, traveling to Spain? Like, who does that? You do it. Don't listen to other people tell you what you can't do. Focus with them on what they can do and push them. Don't settle and give them that confidence. Sometimes with people, I do this. Like, it's like I blow confidence in them. That's what I want you to do with her, and just push her. And push her in a way that she feels confident, that she's willing to take chances. And if things don't work out, don't worry about it. Do it again. Another door will open. Keep on knocking. I hope that answers your question, and let us know how that works, and stay in touch with my producer and how that's going. But yeah, thank you. Much appreciation. Okay, so here we go. So that's the difference between my son and myself. And even how I treated my oldest son and my youngest son, man, I learned a lot. Like, they're very different personalities. So therefore, I have to be different in how I approach it. It's not one size fits all. Same thing with counseling. Like when I work with somebody, it's not like, well, the last 2,700 people I work with, we all follow the same format. Wrong. Everyone I look at as an individual, and I see what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and that's how I work with them. It's the same thing for working with anybody. Oh, it does. Thank you, Bruce. My man, my pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And please let us know how it goes. But that's the thing I want to share with people is that my oldest son, I made a lot of mistakes with him. And I now understand what mistakes I made. I'm trying to rectify them. So when he does things that in the past would like, I let it go. I'm the adult. I got to be in control. That's what I want from you guys to be. Be in control. So when trauma does happen, and trust me, you're always going to have difficult situations in life. That's okay. But when you're composed and you can see things for what they are, you're able to handle it. It's like judo, life judo. What do judo people thrive on is they know they got guys that outweigh them, taller than them, bigger than them. They use that size against them. They take it and they use it. They're in control of their body, and the other person all of a sudden is not in control of their body. One of my kids is a huge fan of boxing. He likes to go to the gym, learn how to box. He studies these boxers on YouTube, their fights, and you look at them when they break it down how these guys do things. Like, oh my God, you see talent, you pick up on things. All of a sudden it starts to make sense. How they move their head, how they move their feet, how they move their arms, what's their positioning, how do they counterpunch. It's all intuitive. That's my whole point. When you're in control, you become in control of everything. So I wanted to share that point. Okay, now, here's the thing also. When childhood trauma, because we're coming to the end of our time, anyone got any questions? Throw them out. When childhood trauma is not resolved, a sense of fear and helplessness carries over into adulthood. Right here, baby. Setting the stage for further trauma. However, even if your trauma happened many years ago, there are steps you can take to overcome it, overcome the pain, learn to trust and connect to others again, and regain your sense of emotional balance. All right, let me explain something about that. You're building a house. Okay, Vegas, we know about that. We always see these houses being built. You build the foundation first, obviously. You build the trench. We don't have basements here in Vegas because of the soil, but you got to still build a hole and you got to put stuff in. And all that stuff coming in is the innards of the house, like the pipes, the septic system, the sewage system, the water system, how stuff going to flow. You realize that if someone puts a pipe an inch higher than it's supposed to be, it's going to affect the flow of the water, the wastewater, the water coming in, the water going out. If you have an angle for the window, 1/8 of an inch off, window is never going to close correctly. If the floor is not level, you're always going to be walking like at a tilt. Even if the house on top has room after room of every possible luxury, the house is off. That's like the childhood brain part not getting fully fixed. So when you get that adult part filled in, it's never quite where it should be. And ultimately, you'll have people say things like on a house that's an old house that hasn't been properly maintained. They'll basically say this: we got to rip the house up to get to the bottom of this, start all over, and fix what should have been taken care of 30 years ago when the house was first built. That's why your water drips. That's why your doors don't close. That's why your windows are stuck. That's why your roof is saggy, because they didn't do the work they were supposed to have done 30 years ago because the work was haphazard. Now, what's cheaper? To do it right the first time or go back in and have to redo everything? You get the point. It's the same thing with the coconut. When you fill it up with the right stuff early, the foundation is here, right? And now you're ready to handle more complex things. You're going to do better in life. But if things are messed up, of course you're going to be drawn to drugs and alcohol, terrible relationships, overeating, poor sleeping, poor diet, poor educational skills, all jumpy, all confused because you're not settled. You didn't get what you needed early growing up. That's the point. That's what I'm trying to share with people. That's what trauma is, and that's what you're trying to negate. My kid didn't get it, so his confidence level is through the roof. How he talks to people, how he shares things with people, completely different. My oldest son had some trauma issues, different trajectory, and I have to be more sensitive to that and more open and more fulfilling and more loving. I got to fill in more. That's okay. I'm the father. I got to be a better person. That's my point. So I always look at it as a house foundation. You start early and get it done right. And I once heard this, I'm not close this, I want to share something because I'm almost done. I remember reading about this guy. They built a hockey stadium, I think in North Dakota for the college, which is a big deal, college hockey in North Dakota. And he said, the guy who made his money here in Vegas, I think his name was Ralph Engstrom. He said, I want to build it in such a way it's not going to need repairs like 7 years from now. I want it to be pristine. I want it to last. I want it to be an amazing edifice. And he put the money in. And the place, they say, is gorgeous and beautiful, and it could last the way it is for like another 40 years because the effort was made early. They didn't put in substandard piping or substandard chairs or substandard heating and air conditioning. Everything just flows. Because he said, I want it to last. I want it to be a monument to the college team, that when you walk in there, you walk in like to the greatest college stadium to watch and play hockey. And it shows, they said. And I see things that are made on the cheap, that the work is not put in, it doesn't last. You got to put money in to replace things. It's the same thing with your brain, with trauma. The more you give somebody a chance to relax, to be calm, to be focused, and you fill up that first half of that head with the right mentality, when trauma does occur, they're much better with resiliency to handle it. When you don't get it in childhood, your adulthood is that much harder for someone like me to fix because you have nothing to fall back on, no reserves, because things, in a sense, are already damaged. Anyone's any more questions? Oh, got some questions here. Okay. Okay, here's a guy telling me that he is into all kinds of stuff. Okay, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm just concerned that at such a young age you've been exposed to so many things. So if you feel though that it's helpful to you and it's not affecting your life, who am I to give you critique? Good luck with everything then stick to what you're doing and go forward. Just from my experience clinically, as a clinical social worker with over 20 years experience and seeing thousands of patients, that to me are warning signs. That's all. But if it's working for you, no problem. Hey, we're not here to judge people, in my opinion, and that's it. Just from my experience, though, those things are alarming to me. That's all. But good luck with everything, and I hope it works. Okay. What I'm going to do here, I'm basically going to stop. I want to just say one last thing, and then we're good. And I want to just clarify this. We all react to trauma in different ways. I really want to make that clear. Don't ever get into like one size fits all. Not true. And you're going to get a wide range of physical and emotional responses. There's no right, there's no wrong answer. To think, feel, respond. So don't ever judge yourself with other people. I hate when people do that. Well, he's not that way, or she's coping. You don't know how they're coping, okay? Because that's on the outside. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I know that because I'm the one that's behind the closed door. So don't ever get into well, I can't relate, they're doing great. You don't know how they're doing. Don't focus. People spend so much time focusing on other people, they don't focus on themselves. Worry about where you're at. And your responses are normal reactions to abnormal events. That's it. Your response, your response, your response. That's how I want you to feel. That's it. So that's what I'm going to close off here. We've got a lot to cover, so much information about this topic in a million different branches. So I want to thank everybody for watching, for commenting. We love your questions. We appreciate it. Everyone's opinion is respected and validated. Not a problem. Hope this was helpful. Let us know how you feel, and we'll go from there. We're going to end it here. Thank you, guys.